Hello and welcome to another edition of Ill Communication. Today I am joined by the very talented Michael, aka Riot. He is a finger drummer and a pianist and a producer and an engineer and an all-around awesome human being living in Los Angeles, California, and making some very exciting YouTube videos. And he is kind enough to take time out of his day to catch up with us and talk about Ableton and finger drumming and music and life, the universe, and everything. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you on the show.
No, dude, Dylan, thanks for having me. I've been like a huge fan of your stuff for a while, so it's really cool to be actually, talking to you.
Cool. Well, hey, right on. So I first was turned on to your work by Sean Wasabi, who is, another very talented finger drummer and maker of YouTube hits. And he speaks very highly of you and, likes to forward your videos on. And I saw you did like an outdoor performance of Riot. That was currently the featured video on your YouTube channel, and it was really cool. I think you were wearing like a head camera or something and rocking it outdoors. But yeah, it was a really cool song, and I started digging deeper and found that you had all kinds of different YouTube videos, including a remix of Animals by Martin Garrix that seems to have gone viral, and I think you have almost 4 million plays on that puppy at this point.
Yeah.
So how does that feel?
It's good because I've kind of like taken those views and attempted to kind of tunnel them to my other stuff. But to be honest, that video itself was like a joke. I did that song in like an hour, and then I showed it to my buddy. He was like, "Hey, this is hilarious. You should do a Launchpad video for it." So I like set it up, and that took I basically did the whole video in like a day, which for like my other songs takes way longer than a day to do the whole song and the whole video, And then I uploaded it, and it kind of it went somewhat viral. I mean, like some other, like Nev has more than that, but that's still like a lot of views for me. And
yeah, it's a lot of views for anyone, man.
Yeah,
like that's crazy. So did they all happen at once, or like was there a kind of a key blog that it was shared on, or can you tell us a bit about how that growth happened?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's been pretty like stable. It was uploaded in either June or July, and we're at like 3-point-something million. But there were 2 really big blogs that shared it, and that didn't like exponentially increase the views, but there was a big jump. And the 2 blogs were SourceFed, which shared it first, and then 9gag. So it was featured. Cool. Yeah, so it was like featured on the homepage of 9gag.
Whoa, okay, that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the homepage of SourceFed too. So, that was really cool. Just because like I watch SourceFed every day, and I use 9gag and Reddit. Sorry for the Redditors that hate 9gag, but yeah, not so much.
Hey, you can use both, man. You don't have to pick sides. It's cool.
Yeah, I know.
You can use both.
Well, yeah. So those were the 2 like really big blogs that kind of shared it, and there was kind of like a jump. Like I think when SourceFed shared it, it had like 1 million, and then jumped to like 1.3.
Jesus.
But it wasn't like as soon as SourceFed and 9gag shared it, then it was like 3 million. It was a few 100,000.
It seems like the kind of thing that you would want to share with your friends, and I think that like really a lot of musicians, they kind of underestimate how powerful humor is as a tool, and when the drop comes and suddenly it's like Super Mario played on a wood block or whatever, it's hysterical. Like I lulled, I literally lulled out loud and everything. It was really, really great. So do you have any plans on making any more comedy, comedy tunes or comedy finger drumming videos?
I'm not sure if I still want to do it just because of like my time crunch, but I wanted to do an April Fool's video.
Oh, it's coming up.
I know. So if I still want to do it, then I don't want to disclose like too much about it.
Yeah, totally. But, top secret.
But
sure.
If I don't end up doing it, then it's like, oh crap, I should have just told him what I was going to do.
Well, it wasn't April Fool's when you put out your Martin Garrix Super Mario performance, and that certainly did well. So
Right. True. So I mean, it wasn't going to be a like a performance. It was just going to be like an in the studio with Riot sort of deal.
Yeah.
Except there's a catch, and that catch is the punchline. But I don't know if I might still end up doing it. So
Cool, cool. I've noticed that like a lot of your music that you make when you're not mashing up Martin Garrix and Super Mario is you know, it has like a real kind of polish to it, and you know, your melodies are really really rich, and like real, you know, you have like the sound design side as well as very very strong melodic structures and chord progressions and stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about how you picked up all of these skills at such a tender young age?
sure. Well, I'm 21 in case.
Oh, well, Grandpa, jeez, come on.
So I'm old, but so I've been playing piano since I was 4, and I kind of did the whole, you know, competition thing, and I didn't really like that, just because it puts this pressure in like being absolutely perfect, and it makes. I mean, other people that I know like love it, but I don't want to sit and practice Chopin and list for 8 hours a day. And if I mess up one note, then my life is over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of, when I was like 15, I was kind of getting tired of that, and I just wanted to, you know, write music. And so I started to just improvise on the piano and compose. And then when I was 16, I started making electronic music. But I think it's just my, you know, piano skill. I think it really is my piano skills, because like I'll try and write something away from the piano, and I can't write anything. Like I have to be at the piano. Like my fingers are better musicians than I am. So
Cool. Cool. So, can you take us through a little bit of what your workflow is like when you're writing? Like you said, you start by sitting down at the piano, and then what? Or like, you know, where does it start? Like, do you get an idea first? Do you sit down? You sit down on the piano first? Do you know, just take us through your typical workflow for building a track from scratch.
sure. So usually, yeah, I'll sit at the piano. I actually teach piano, so I teach at either at people's houses, or there's this place in LA that's a piano store, and I sometimes teach there. And in the downtime in between students, I have like a lot of time to just, you know, sit and improvise. And so what I usually do is I'll just, you know, improvise, come up with an idea, and then I'll record it on my phone. Or if I'm in my car and I have an idea, then I'll record me singing it. So there's a lot of really embarrassing videos on my phone of me singing ideas over the past few years. But then I'll normally, you know, I'll open up like a massive, you know, default preset, and then I'll just play in my idea, and then I'll kind of like figure out, okay, now what I guess genre would this sound good at? Would it be, you know, sound good in like glitch hop? Would it sound good as electro house? Would it sound good as, you know, dubstep, trap, whatever, you know, I feel like it would sound good. I'd set the BPM to that in my project file, and then I'll kind of like orchestrate it or synthestrate it for, you know, a track. So it'll be like, I'll take the, you know, the very bottom note that I'm playing in my left hand, and then I'll, you know, put that in my sub, and then, you know, my octave reinforcement, and then I'll maybe, if it's like a super saw based thing, then I'll kind of, because usually I'm like really lazy about voicing my chords, and I'll kind of just play them in root position. But
Yeah.
like the thing about super saws that I've noticed, is like especially really recently with my past like 2 songs I've done, is if you voice them like intelligently,
Yeah.
they sound so much better.
Oh, totally. I'm a big fan of putting the fifth in the bass, you know, like power chord style, and then having the root and the third up at the top. I find it's just like, you know, for triads, it just makes all the difference, you know.
Oh yeah, it really does. Just because, especially, you know, the way the overtones work, and especially with saw waves, because like they're all like all the overtones are like equal amplitudes, you know. So it really does make it. I like to voice, like if it's a jazz chord, I'll do like root 7th, and then like 3rd, and then 9th. Like I'll usually like drop the 5th, or if it's just like, you know, major minor, I might do like, you know, 1 5 3, exactly like you said, but the 3rd on the top.
Cool. So now with your production, your synthesis is quite advanced as well. Can you tell us a little bit about how you learned to make such crazy synth sounds, and you know, maybe share a few tips that you wish you knew earlier?
Sure. Most of it has been like trial and error, and like asking my like friends that I've met through the internet. I guess like so I produce in FL Studio. I do my Launchpad stuff in Ableton, so I'll normally like export stems or I'll send over like presets if it's
Cool.
massive or whatever. But as far as like the sound design goes, I usually my go-to synths for like growls and just weird basses are probably Harmor, which is was made in FL, but now they're like they have an alpha stage like the
Oh, that's exciting. That's
for
one
the
thing that
Mac.
makes me jealous about FL Studio is Harmor. That's
Right.
you can
No,
get some
it's awesome.
wild sounds out of Harmor.
But they have and it's for free. As of right now, you can just go and download basically. You know how there's like alpha testing, beta testing. So right now they're in the
Yeah.
alpha testing for a standalone for Mac. So like I can run it on Ableton on my Mac and it's free because it's the alpha testing. The only problem is it like it somewhat crashes. So I wouldn't recommend it if you're going to be like playing it live on like
Yeah. Or if you don't have a whole lot of time on your hands to
guitar
troubleshoot.
or
Oh, nice, nice, busting out the axe.
yeah.
Sweet, sweet.
So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend it if you're gonna do it live, but I Harmor's amazing. So
Cool.
I'll usually like I'll make something in Massive, and then I'll usually resample it in Harmor. And what's great about that is Harmor has basically the way Harmor works for everybody watching who doesn't know is that it's an additive resampler. So that's different than Contact or other like sampling plugins because like Contact, for example, will just literally play the sound file, whereas Harmor will like look at it and say, okay, I'm going to reconstruct every single frequency in this using sine wave. So you're not actually getting the original audio. What you're doing is you're getting Harmor's like best attempt to recreate it with sine waves, which is nuts because then you have total control over it.
Yeah.
And so then what I like to do is Harmor has like time stretch variables, so you can play it backwards and you can speed it up. And you'd be surprised like how nuts your growls can sound. Like you just take like a normal massive growl and then put it in Harmor and then, you know, play it backwards and either like slightly slow it up and slow it down or speed it up. And it's like a completely new sound. And you can literally like what I like to do is I just automate those two variables, the time stretch and the start time. And it, like with just one massive, you know, growl that you've recorded, you know, maybe just one note for, you can literally have, you know, a whole song's worth of growls.
Cool, cool. So, in terms of organizing all of these sounds that you're making, do you do them all from scratch each time, or do you have a library of your own sounds that you built? Or because I mean, I notice a lot of your tracks they have a real like you can pick out that it's one of your tracks. You know, are these just habits when you, or is there like a deeper kind of level of organization in your sound library happening?
Sure. So I have a lot of go-to sounds that I've made. Like obviously my sub is the same every time just because there's no need to, you know, change that. My super saws as of now tend to be similar. I use it's like a sub and then an octave reinforcement and then like 3 different massive patches that are layered. They're just saws, but just because like they sound good, so I just go back to them. I try not to use the same basses in every song, although sometimes I kind of just fall into the trap and I just, let's use that. You know, so sometimes I do that. What I will admit, what I normally don't make from scratch are leads. Like I'm not, for some reason I'm not very good at it. You'd think leads would be a lot easier than basses, but not for me.
I find you know, making a lead that really jumps out is
right, that has character.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, it's easy to make a lead that just sounds like a synth lead, but even when I'm like, you know, going through banks of synth presets, it's like it's so hard for me to find a lead that I'm like, oh yeah, that's it, you know, as opposed to a bass.
Right.
Cool. Yeah. I always thought that was just because I sucked at piano, but hearing that you have the same problem is very encouraging.
No, I mean once I get like. I like once I find the preset that you know works for lead, I usually tweak it a little bit, but I have no problem coming up with the melody. It's just actually like the timbre, you know, of that sound.
Yeah,
it's just like, geez.
Yeah, totally. Okay, cool. So do you have any tips then on any other sounds? Like, do you have any? Was there anything that you know, when you made those leads that you're like, oh yeah, that's gonna be like my lead sound? What was it that made it like jump out to you?
Well, I kind of, there's a song I did called Only Mortal, and there's like this lead in that, And that one I actually made from scratch, and that's like my favorite lead I've ever made. And I don't like, I have lead presets that sound better than that one, but I
Yeah.
guess just the fact that I made it from scratch kind of was like, okay, maybe this should be like my lead sound per
Cool.
se.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess that's the lead. Like I've gone back to that lead for like 3 songs since I made that one. So
Right on. Okay, cool. So, all right. So let's shift gears a little bit, and we'll talk about finger drumming, because this Ableton session is 510 bars into your recording here, so you should probably start doing some finger drumming. Okay, so can you take us through a little bit of well, okay. So for those of you who are watching, Riot is nice enough to allow you to download some of the project files for his songs, and he even posts videos where you can, learn how to play the songs on Launchpad, which is I think it's just such a cool kind of evolution of this whole EDM finger drumming culture. I know Nev does it as well, and I think it's just like really educational experience to go through these and just see the different styles of programming that people have, and the different layout conventions, etc., etc., etc. But why don't you just take us through a little bit of what that process looks like, from going from your project file in FL Studio to creating a performance ready sound pack on the Launchpad.
Sure. So what I do, it depends on the song. Like lately, I've been trying new techniques, but for like Riot, which you brought up specifically, the song that I have at the fountain, what I did was I made the song in FL, and then I exported all the stems. So that would be just the kick, just the hi-hat, just the snare, just the growls, just the supersaws, just the leads, just the cymbals, reverse and regular crash, just the white noise, so every single like element, and then I kind of assign them to individual buttons. So like, let me get this. So can you see this, or
yeah.
Okay, cool. So like, for example, this is the kick drum, this is the hi-hat, and this is the snare. So like, if you do it's an electro house song, so basically the pattern is just always, whoa, I can't do it backwards, I need my
Well, what if you point the camera down maybe a little bit?
Will that work?
Is that possible?
Is that good?
Maybe a little further down. Yeah, a little further. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, yeah, I think we can see now.
Okay, cool.
So we'll just have to imagine your head is also there.
Sure. Okay, so like I was saying, this is the kick, hi-hat, and snare. So the pattern the whole time is just a lot easier when it's not backwards.
Cool.
And then so I have, so basically the way I usually organize my songs when it's just Launchpad is this will be percussion. These will be just synths like growls, supersaws, everything else, and these will be kind of like main song type things. So like, for example, like the whole intro I play live. So like, these are basses. So like it's just that. But when you do it fast, then it flows really well.
Awesome.
And so the whole intro is I play every single sound. But then after the intro is over, I hit this button right here, and then that's just the first build. I don't want to hit it because then it's going to go, and then
it'll play for a while.
Yeah.
You don't have like a get out of jail free choke in case you hit something by accident?
I need to figure that out, because that's my biggest fear in the world.
Okay, one thing that I've found is really useful in my sound packs is I'll often have a blank chain that is set to a choke group, and then you can stop things without actually playing a sound. And it's also useful, like let's say you have one sound. Let's say you have a couple different choke groups, right? Where you have a group of basses that are all supposed to cut each other off on the same choke group, and then you have a bunch of different, maybe it's a drum loop or something that they're all supposed to cut each other off. Maybe different cue points in a drum loop, and then you want to have a rewind that stops both choke groups. So you want the bass and the drum choke groups to be able to play together, but the rewind to choke both of them.
Right.
I find that if you just duplicate your chain that the rewind is on and take the sound off of it, and then have this blank chain, so you're triggering two chains when you hit the rewind, but only one of them has a sound on it, but they both belong to the different choke groups.
Right.
But yeah, I find that's like that's pretty effective. And if you have like a sound, maybe it's like a drum fill or like a reverse, sounds that don't necessarily have like a, like if you just tap them really quick, you're not going to hear anything.
Right.
So sometimes we'll have like a reverse or a spin back that does all the choking, and then that'll be on, it'll have copies of itself that have no sound that are on all the different choke groups. But I find that helps, at least when I'm setting up choke groups for my own performances.
Right. When you do that, do you have do you assign a button within Ableton to kind of switch between those two chains? So like, for example,
no, it's just a duplicate of the chain. So they're both two chains assigned to the same MIDI note.
So because like the way I'm picturing what you're saying is like, so for example, this is like a really long loop, but let's say I wanted to choke it, then let's say I have two chains here, one has nothing and one has this long loop, and then let's say I assign this side button to kind of toggle between the chain with nothing and then the chain with the loop, and then that'll choke. Is that what you're saying?
No, whichever, it's the sound that you hit to stop it, the sound that you want to stop the loop that has two copies.
Okay. Okay.
And then that could be, and then also like sometimes you want a sound to trigger choking but never be choked itself. Like in Machine, there's like a master choke group. So, God, that sounds like a BDSM thing. But anyway, there's like a master and a slave choke group in Machine.
They did that on purpose.
Oh, totally. Those Germans, But yeah, so when you want to have a sound choke but never be choked, in Machine you would set it to master and then set the sound that it chokes to slave. But in Ableton you can accomplish the same effect by having multiple layers, where the actual chain with the sound on it is not on a choke group, and it's only the duplicate of that chain that is on a choke group, and that just doesn't have a sound on it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Right?
I learned something new today.
Yeah, so I find that's a kind of good situation. Yeah, because I used to have a lot of these problems when I was making my performances, where there'd be like these big long phrases that if you hit them at like the wrong time or whatever, especially if you're trying to go to a click track, it can really be a problem,
Right.
Okay, so you got these loops and these build-ups, these main sections in your top left 16 pads, and those are like, so you got to build up on that one, and then what are these other, what other types of, like, and these would be like phrase triggers, usually, or like long risers, or...
Yeah, so the two main ones are this one, which is the first build, this one, which is the second build, but then I have like little individual clips like this. It says my name, my artist name, and it's supposed to happen right before the first drop. So basically, I play the lead for the first build here, and then after I do that, then it goes through, and then this is basically on beat 3 right before the first drop. So it just says riot, and then I hit this to switch to these sounds to the first, drop bank, and then I start playing it. So that's for the first drop. That one is for right before the second drop. I hit that, and then it's... These two are basically the same thing, except this one kind of has a pad right before it, and then it says my name, and this one just says my name. So if you're looking for...
So one of them is like 2 beats, one of them is 1 beat.
Exactly. So if you're looking to resample my name, here you go.
There you go. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll put it all over my new album.
No, that was actually one of my like biggest fears about like giving out the project files at first, because like Nev
was that people would put your name in shitty tracks.
No, was like people would like for example, like Nev does it, but the thing is Nev so far, although he's his next video, which is nuts, is an original, but so far he's been doing...
Oh, really? That's exciting.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
It's nuts.
Oh, but, I'll have to have him on the show after. That's awesome.
Yeah, but like everything he's put out so far has been like other people's songs.
Yeah.
So he's not like risking, quote unquote, giving up his drums or his
Well,
individual
what are
sounds.
people gonna do with them? It's not like, I mean, there's
I
so
know.
many drum samples. It's not like anyone's
Exactly.
gonna make your next record before you. I just give everything away, man. I don't.
No, exactly. That's what I realized. And plus, I kind of have this thing where it's like every couple months, everything I made before was total shit. And
Yeah, that's the best way to be, man. Like, it keeps you going forwards. You gotta hate your own music.
Exactly.
You can't just sit around being smug and thinking you're like the best musician ever all the time. You just stop learning and stop making anything good.
Exactly. No, I suck.
Gotta be driven. Gotta be driven.
So anyway, there's different stuff like that, like these two, and then this is for wait, I have to switch this. Yeah. So basically, right now it's just a lead, but when I hit this for the first drop one, then there's kind of like this transition in the first drop, which is used to, and then I push this, and then it's kind of like the B section of the first drop.
Cool.
But yeah, so what I usually do is I'll have, and I can show you guys. Well, basically these kind of trigger different banks, and then let me.
So are those triggering different layers on the machine, or are those just additional drum pads? Yeah, maybe if you could load up the. If you could like double click on your channel there so that we can see the drum rack.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great.
Totally. So let's see, where are you? Cool. So like right here, for example, this lead. So you can see there's like 3 different layers within the instrument rack. So I've got like instrument racks on instrument racks.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it goes when you're making
yeah.
these routines. It's just get real squirrely.
Yeah.
That's why you got glasses, isn't it? It's from reading all the fonts and the drum racks.
It is. I actually want to get contacts because like I've had glasses for years, but no, I'm pretty sure my vision has gone worse from just making these.
That's one advantage of the machine. Like when you're like working on the hardware and like you can just drum rack program like on the hardware. I find that just so much easier on the eyes than Ableton gets really kind of squirrely.
Right, and it just takes forever. But anyway, so like for example, and I do it like I love your word squirrely. I'm gonna steal that.
That's not my. It didn't come up with that. It's a common parlance. Yeah.
But I love the way you're relating it to what we're doing because that's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't think my way is the most efficient way, but it's the way that I've kind of figured out and I've been using, and it's worked so far. And this only applies to songs like this one, where it's just one launchpad or just 2 launchpads and everything is a sample. I can later I'll show you songs where I'm actually like I have like Massive loaded up, and I'll be playing Massive on the guitar on top of just stems that I've exported from the song. But anyway, so like for example, this one button right here, the that lead one that I was talking about. So if you look right here, you can see that it's triggering this one chain in the instrument rack. Let me move that over so I can.
No, I can see it great.
You see it? Okay, cool. Then let me just move you down a little bit.
Yeah, my screen's working great.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good. Recording's working great too. It's always good to double check.
Right. Awesome.
Sure, and suddenly run out of hard drive space or something.
That would suck.
Yeah.
But if you'll notice, so I basically have it. So where's that?
So are those chain selectors? What are they MIDI mapped to?
The side button. So for
to
example,
the bank buttons. Okay.
Yeah. So basically you can have. So I know you already know this, but
no. I mean, yeah, just definitely. It's good to be clear.
Yeah, sure. So basically, in instrument racks, you can have like a chain list, and then you can kind of determine whether you want a different velocity to kind of trigger the different chains, or you want to do it based on key. And I just, for my purposes, for this song in particular, I thought it was most efficient to just do it, based on the
chain selector,
chain selector right here, right. And you can have it set from 0 to 127. And so basically, when I hit the first button, you'll see that it toggles all the way over to 127 because.
And is that altering the MIDI notes that the Launchpad is playing, or that's just a modifier?
That's just a modifier. So it basically is just, I think, here it is. So I basically, it's just a modifier. Because right now, because check out the chain selector right over here.
Yeah, I can see it moving.
Yeah, so
thrilling.
Yeah, I know. So you basically, for everybody else, you just kind of go to your MIDI mapping stuff right here, and then you click the chain selector, and then you click up here, and then you can basically just map them, and then you can map it to an actual button on whatever your controller you're using, and then that's how you get it to go between 0 and 127.
Okay, cool.
And then you can, if you go into the preference, like right here, you can change the min and max settings. So like, let's say you don't want to go to 127, then you can do that. What I usually do though, if it's like more than 2, like usually so far I haven't really needed more than 3 in like one button.
Yeah.
So what I do is, so the first button, for example, goes between 0 and 127, and then what the second button does is you'll see the
Oh, you're using the speaker on to switch. Yeah, you're using the mute.
on.
So you can see it's a very subtle difference in the grays, but that's basically toggling between 2 sub layers once the bank change is pressed.
Right, exactly. So you'll see like this first build, 1 lead is on 0, and then these other 2 are on 127. So you'd think
but they're modified by the speaker on.
Exactly. So you'd think both of them, for everybody else, would be playing at the same time, but actually no, because right now this one is on and this one is off.
Cool.
So then when you push the second button, then now this one's on, and then
okay.
Or am I backwards? I can't tell from this distance.
Yeah, I don't know why they made them like these just slightly different shades of gray. It's like, guys, come on, people gotta actually use the stuff.
Right. Okay, I got it backwards. So right now the top one is on and the bottom one is off. But when I push the second one now, so the dark gray is on.
Okay, cool. So how many of the pads in your track would have these like kind of chain selector bank sub functions? Like how many things change when you hit those buttons?
A lot of them. So like if we go through like all of these all have like 3 layers. This one has 2, 3, 3, 3. So a lot of them have like 3 or 2. Some of them just have 1. Like for example, my kick drum just has 1 because it's always going to be a kick.
This is so cool, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. This is just awesome.
Yeah, no, dude, thank you for having me. Like it's really cool. So like the kick is just 1 layer, and the snare's 1 layer, the hi-hat's 1 layer. But usually all my other, like if it's like a saw or a lead or a bass or anything that's not really like percussion, like all my percussion is just 1 layer. The crash is going to be 1 layer.
Yeah, because you've produced them in FL Studio. That whatever layering was happened there and not here. Right.
Well, as far as layering sounds go, that's all like already in FL. Like usually if I like layer like basses, I mean everything. Like as far as layering the actual sounds go, that's all long done in FL. But as far as like toggling between like a lead on this exact button and a bass, then totally that's in Ableton.
Okay, cool. So and then so how many? So you have 3 different possible states, or do you have more?
Usually I have 3. I found if you want to have more than that, then it gets a little. Well, I mean, I'm sure Nev, because Nev is like Ableton Jesus.
Dude, he's bonkers.
I know. He probably has a way better method to do this, but this is the method I figured out. If you want more than 3 and you don't want it to be nuts, is that you can load up the sounds in Sampler, and that's what I was doing at first. Because Sampler has, let's see. Okay,
there's a chain selector and Sampler as well.
Yeah, so you can basically have them go by.
Is it just me, or is your snare a little late there?
Or
whatever that drum sound is. Zoom in on the beginning of that trans.
It's a hi-hat. Oh, it is. It's not very noticeable, but it is a little late. Barely noticeable.
Barely noticeable. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
just checking.
No, it is a little late. You're right. I think because sometimes when you're making and I'm sure you can attest to this, it's like I want to be done. Like
and there's the plug-in delay compensation issue. God, I'm so glad that they fixed that in the new beta. I've been jumping back and forth between the new Ableton beta. Well, probably the old Ableton beta by the time this comes out. But yeah, Ableton didn't have plug-in delay compensation for those of you listening in the future. When we were back in the past, when we used to have to produce uphill in the snow both ways, each way, Ableton didn't have plug-in delay compensation, which meant that when you were recording yourself, the more plugins and the more routing you had, the later and later and later your samples would get. You'd always have to go in and nail them down, manually.
Adjust the milliseconds.
Yeah, it's really annoying. That's another thing I wish Push had is if you could, like the sample start, for example, you can't put that on a knob, so you can like scrub sample start on whatever active sampler. Like I'd love it if you could MIDI map that so you could actually use the knobs to edit. It would make things so much easier. Like zoom and edit on the sampler. And the playhead, why is the playhead slightly different orange color on orange? Like make it black or something or white or something, you know?
I don't know. You'd think that guys that spend all day programming things would be a lot like more artistically inclined.
But yeah, I don't know. Cool. Okay, so so then and your kick and snare stay largely the same throughout the performance. How do you conceptualize these different banks? Like, is the default state always the intro? State 2 is the drop, and state 3 is like the bridge, or how are they? How are these conceptualized when you're deciding what to do where?
Yeah. So far that's kind of been my MO is state 1. Yeah, is the intro, and then for the first build, like I said, I usually just have some sort of long loop up here, and then if I'm going to be playing stuff, it'll usually be up here for the intro, and then state 2 is the first drop. Then I'll just go back because like the top left section over here is always in the same state. Like usually I don't need to switch the states. It's usually like
and those are all your phrase triggers,
right? Usually it's just the right side. That
has all the state changes. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then so then state 2 is first drop, state 3 is usually the second drop, and then
so usually for breakdown you go back to intro mode, or what do you do for the breakdowns?
Well, for this song in particular, like the breakdown. So basically right now this is intro, then first drop, then first drop B section, and then second drop and second breakdown. And then, let's see hold on. 1, 2, then boom.
Yeah, you got a lot of states. You were lying before.
Yeah. And then like 1, so then for the outro, it's 1 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so for example, whoa, totally just, so this basically changes the top bank, but see, like, so basically this first button changes the top right square, then this will change the bottom right square. So for example, like right now this is in like drop 1 mode, but this is still in intro mode because technically the way I just wrote that song, it uses some of the same sounds from the intro. So I was able to like save some, I guess, whatever you want to I was able to save some space for later in the B section where I push this, and now all of a sudden this is in B section mode.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then I push this, and then that this triggers these to change as well as these to change into the third drop mode.
Cool.
So like for the third drop, these are all like 4. No, they're just bar long loops. So like, just because I was running out of space.
Yeah.
And like because it's the supersaw that goes da na 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 na, and that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So it's like instead of wasting 8 like buttons on eighth notes.
Yeah. Why?
For each one of these, so that would be 8 buttons, 16 buttons, 24, 32.
Yeah, that starts to be a lot of buttons.
Nuts.
A lot of buttons.
Exactly. So I was like, cool. You know what? the rest of the song is cool. I'll just.
Okay, cool. So I'm guessing that a lot of people who are, I mean, I could really see with these state buttons and the chain selectors and stuff, I can really see why you guys are so into the Launchpad as opposed to like a MIDI fighter or, or other MIDI controllers. Like I can see you're really, really getting the most out of that controller. And then one of the other things that I think is one of the real draws of the Launchpad versus other controllers is the lights and the animations of the lights. Can you show us a little bit? Are you just using the external MIDI instrument thing, or like how are you? Any tips for people programming the lights?
Sure. So you basically just open up a MIDI channel, and then you route the input from the Launchpad, and then you send the output to the Launchpad, and then you just set your monitor to monitor the input. Okay. And then you can just basically open a MIDI effect rack, and what I usually and also so the MIDI effect racks are also like different sections will have different lights. So for example, well, okay, I lied. Not on this song. Okay, not on this song. All the lights are the same. But usually what I'll do is the exact same thing where different, macros will be assigned, and then they'll automate the on or the off.
Cool.
But basically the way you do it is just with different effects. So I usually have like a note length, which basically so for people who don't know, without the, let's see where.
It just forces the notes to be a specific length.
Yeah, so without the note length, for example,
Pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. So the light goes for as long as that is. Then you have the chord effect, which basically the way the Launchpad works is it goes when you're in user 1 mode which is the mode I've been in the whole time, by the way, for people who don't. Is it goes up by half steps. So this is the bottom of, and it goes up by half steps in half sections. So this is the. Can you see me? Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
I can see it.
So this is the bottommost note. So then it goes, let's say, I don't remember what note this is. Let's pretend it's A, because A is the bottom note on the piano. So this would be A, then B flat, then B, then C, and then it goes up again. So it's basically, half step, half step, half step, half step, half step. So it goes up by, I guess rows of 4. And then once you get to the top here, then it continues to go up. So let's pretend this is like C. I don't know what it is, but let's pretend it's C. Then this one right here is C sharp, then D. So it keeps going up by 4, and then this is the very topmost note. So, let's say that you want to light up this whole row, then by just pushing this one button, then what you do is with the chord, you basically you can see right here on the chord effect, there's
-4 +4 +8. So that would light it up like the whole. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so -4 +4. So basically the +4, let's say I push this button, +4 would light up this one, -4 would light up this one, and +8 would light up this one. So basically we're getting a row that's
vertical. Vertical column.
As opposed to horizontal. If you want horizontal, then you just do +1, +2, +3.
Yeah, cool. And then you're using arpeggiators to move them around and come with the twinkle twinkle.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So arpeggiators, you can select different types of movement, whether you want it to automate down, whether you want it to do up, whether you want it to go up and then down, or down and then up, and so on. The list goes on and on. And then usually I have it synced to the BPM. And you can, if you don't want it to sync to the BPM, then I think it goes like an LFO. Yeah,
okay.
So it's an LFO.
And are you playing to a click track when you do your routines?
When I do the videos, yes. This song in particular, just because I found that like the way I mapped it makes it really easy to not play to a click track and like still have it sound really good. This one, like when I just play for my friends and stuff, and I've only played it at one show. But I didn't use a click track. But for the videos, I always use a click track. And this, like I said, this song in particular, I feel I don't need to.
Yeah.
If I'm just playing this song, if I was playing a whole set, then I would probably play it to a click track. But if I'm just going to show people this one song, then I don't. But yeah. So yeah, the arpeggiator, you can basically, if it's on sync, then you can set the rate, and then the order, as I'm sure you know, but for people who don't, the order in which you do stuff matters tremendously. Like I have the chord, another chord effect after the arpeggiator. So if I were to set
and that second chord plugin is going to make all the lights go at the same time,
right?
Whereas the first chord plugin is going to create the sequence that feeds the arpeggiator.
Exactly, right. And then the velocity is just to change the color.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
So yeah. So I don't remember the color numbers. What I usually just do is I'll keep hitting the button and then I'll just scrub.
Yeah, that's how I do it with the MIDI fighter and stuff too.
Cool. But, but honestly, dude, like the MIDI fighter, I like the lights a lot more. I know that.
Oh yeah, there's my favorite controller. I love it.
Yeah, and the buttons feel a lot better too. My only thing, because I played on Sean's, and my only thing.
Did you get to mess with the 64 pad MIDI fighter?
I did, dude.
Oh my god, that thing is so gangster.
Okay, so believe it or not, like you plug this project that we have open, you plug that into Sean's, and it works perfectly.
Same MIDI notes, of course. You just change buttons.
Exactly. The only thing it doesn't have is the program changes. So I was stuck in the first drop mode basically the whole time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so cool. My only thing is like the distance between buttons on the MIDI fighter. It takes a little getting used to because I was like missing at first, and then I kind of got it. But I like the way the MIDI fighter buttons feel. I like the lights, but although the Launchpad Pro is coming out, and those lights look like they're going to be nuts.
Yeah, it looks pretty exciting. I'm probably going to pick one up. Yeah, I've been really kind of meaning to foray into Launchpad world. I think like, I'm kind of leaning towards doing like, phrase triggers and stuff on a Launchpad, and then like just percussion on the MIDI fighter, just because it's so fucking accurate, man. Like I just, I love
Well,
them.
you have session mode if you want to do, you know, the phrases on the Launchpad, and that would be great for like a live set.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I noticed you have Tractor over there in the top right.
Oh
Do
yeah.
you perform with Tractor as well, or what's going on with that?
So that was actually I'm going to be playing a couple shows like next month, and I'm not going to be using Tractor. I'm going to be using Ableton. But I just got it because I was actually inspired by this video of yours that I was watching, where you basically
Yeah, you can do it both at the same time. It's great.
exactly doing both at the same time, and I was like, whoa! I didn't know that they could share the same sound card. So that I was supposed to play that Tractor is basically because I was supposed to play this show in Ohio for New Year's Eve with Riggy and Piros, and who are on Spinnin'. And I was going to do exactly what you were doing in the video, which was Tractor, and then for the songs I'm going to be playing, you know, totally live, then just go at it.
Switching over. Yeah, totally.
But I guess for future stuff, I'm going to see if I can just do it all natively in Ableton, because then I can.
I would be probably still using all Ableton if it weren't for the fact that I need video.
Right. Well, what I did, I played I'm still in school, although I'm graduating in May.
Cool. What are you studying?
Film scoring, so writing music.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually worked a lot with. Do you know? So there's this YouTube channel called right now it's called Rocket Jump. They have like 8 million subscribers. So it used to be Freddie W, and Freddie W was founded by Freddie Wong and Brandon Losh. And I work a lot with Brandon, so like I've done a lot of videos on Rocket Jump and on Brandon's channel, and I actually just did. Sorry to brag.
No, for sure.
People
People are going to want to know this stuff. They're going to want to look up. They're going to want to look up all this stuff. And I mean, definitely anything you can think of to mention, you should just mention it. We'll put it in the notes for the episode so that people can check all this stuff out and download the packs and
Right.
Yeah. So definitely brag, plug away.
So I just did this video for Brandon, and it's the first video like ever to feature this function on YouTube. It's called YouTube 360 View. It was basically it's this virtual reality video that I scored. I also write orchestral music, so it was all orchestral, and basically it's supposed to be for like Oculus or just other virtual reality stuff. But since YouTube obviously isn't optimized for virtual reality, the way it works is if you have like an Android phone. Or Google. Well, let's just go with an Android phone for right now. You watch the video, and as you're holding, where's my phone? I don't have an Android. I have an iPhone, so I can't do it. But as you're holding your phone and you're looking at the video, as you move around, basically the video itself
that's genius.
Moves in 3D space. And if you don't have an Android phone like me, what you can do is you can go on Google Chrome and watch the video. The video, if you just YouTube search Time Couch, it'll come up.
Time Couch.
It basically the premise of the video. Let me get this pop filter up here, and
it's kind of like Hot Tub Time Machine, but with a couch.
Exactly, except Ice Cube was in that movie, right? Ice Cube's not in. Was it who's in that movie? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Anyway, so basically the premise is you're on this couch, and the couch starts flying, and you like are running from the. It's nuts, and I saw. Before I did the music for it, Brandon had me over to his studio, and I put on the headset, and I was just like on this flying couch in like virtual reality, and it was nuts. Like I got like nauseous from like
that's awesome.
I felt like I was flying. It was nuts. But yeah, so the video, if you're on Google Chrome, what you can do is just type in Time Couch, go to YouTube, and then if
I'm totally gonna do this as soon as
do it. It's nuts. If you
I'm so stoked.
But make sure you're in Chrome.
That's my browser of choice. I love it.
And then you use WASD, just like an MMO if you're walking around, or like a first-person shooter. Yeah. W pans your view up, S down, A left, D right, and it's nuts. It's the first YouTube video to be able to do this.
That's
so I'm
so
like
cool.
super proud of that.
That's awesome, man. That's like definitely breaking some ground. Hey, have you heard of Google Cardboard?
Wait, why does that ring a bell?
It's like it's basically these like printouts where you can like print it out on cardboard and then like cut it out, and it makes it so it holds your phone in front of your face like an Oculus headset.
Yeah.
And then you can make your own Oculus headset out of your phone.
Yeah,
cool.
That's actually like not
an official Google product, obviously. But.
Right. No, but that's actually like a lot of VR. There's like, there's different. I don't know what to call them, but exactly, they're like headset. A lot of people are literally using their phones for VR, and it's a lot cheaper. I'm sure the performance isn't as good, but
it's still super cool.
But it's nuts.
Man, I remember like I love reading science fiction like all the time, and there's this one really cool William Gibson book that was probably about a decade ago where he predicted a lot of this stuff. I mean, this is the guy who coined the word cyberspace, like predicted virtual reality and the internet in like 1984.
Right.
I mean, not that the internet wasn't there, but just, you know, predicted a lot about the way we use the internet. But anyway, he had this really cool thing where it was called like locative art, where like, let's say you're, you know, walking through, you know, and you come to the movie theater outside of which John Dillinger was shot, where you could get out your phone and look at this place you're in through the phone, and then you could see like a three-dimensional rendering of this like different historical incident, and then like they would like superimpose it over real places and stuff.
That's
and
nuts.
I've heard people are starting to use some of this technology for that kind of thing too, and that's just like, that's just so cool, you know. Like I'm so excited, you know. Like the future is definitely, you know, at least in terms of gadgets and art, it's certainly delivering. I mean, the whole 1984 like boot stamping on the face of humanity forever part, I could definitely do without that part. But I like all the gadgets and the VR and all of our cool MIDI controllers and technologies that people are creating. If you were creating a MIDI controller, what would it like? Are there any things that you just like, you would love it if someone would make them for you, like you know, fancy MIDI controllers or other technologies that you'd like to see?
That's funny because I was actually I forget his name, but the dude that makes the MIDI fighter, the DJ Tech Tools guy, whatever his name is, he had like this tutorial on how to make your own controller. And
Are you talking about Michael?
Yeah,
Michael.
Yeah, whoever the guy is that
because there's Ian who runs it, right, and then there's Michael who's like their product designer guy. He's a Kiwi dude. Oh God, I forget his last name. I'll put it in the notes.
Okay, it could be Ian or Michael. I'm sorry, I'm not a MIDI fighter guy. But anyway, so he had this tutorial on the DJ Tech Tools website on how to build your own MIDI controller. So I was actually like thinking about that. I don't have like a soldering, you know, gun or anything like that. So I don't have like a space to solder, so I wouldn't, as of now, like be able to, you know, make my own controller.
Yeah, but we're fantasizing. Like, go
Right.
ham. Stop being so practical, bro.
Right. Okay. Well, what I love, because I have the keytar, and what I love about the keytar is that it has this infrared sensor, so you can basically, you know, assign any parameter to this infrared sensor, and literally just by waving your hand like up and down, like this is 100, like if we're going, you know, with amount of modulation, this would be like 127 and nothing would be, you know, 0. So let's say you assign it to vibrato, then, you know, that's what one of the things I like to do. And you're playing a lead and then just, you know, the closer you get, the more intense the vibrato is. The very first time I ever like got this keytar, what I did was I assigned it to, I made this growl in FM8, and then I just assigned it to like the modulation, and it was nuts. It was like, whoa, whoa. Like every time you put your, you know, so you could use it for wobbles or growls if you assign it to, you know, the modulation. Well, I think is really cool because like not a lot of controllers do that. I know there's this dude on YouTube named Tak. He's like this Korean controllerist. He's absolutely nuts. He's like the
really,
he's like the
I've not
Korean.
heard of Tak.
Dude, you should check him out. He's like I know this is like saying a lot, but I really believe this. He's like the Korean Madian. Like his production is nuts. His
cool.
You know, his sound, everything is nuts. And in I guess it's probably his most popular video called K-pop culture, which is obviously a take on, you know, pop culture by Madian.
Of course.
He has this like little infrared sensor that is just a, you know, it's a standalone thing, and it plugs into his computer, and it does the exact same thing. But I like the fact that it's, you know, integrated onto the keytar, because I can be soloing and have my left hand right here as opposed to, you know, somewhere else. So if I could integrate, and being as a pianist, like a keyboard is like a must. So if I could somehow integrate the infrared sensor with a keyboard with, you know, some sort of pad controller, and not have it look like a giant monstrosity, like that would be
Have you checked out the Leap?
The Leap, I have not.
The Leap is really cool. It's it like I forget how exactly it senses what your hands are doing, but it's really, really advanced. I believe it's like, you know, there's like infrared or something, you know, where it's like it like a Kinect where it senses your hands. And there's a really cool video where Qbert managed to like scratch, like one-handed scratching in the air, where like one of his fingers is moving the record and the other ones are like crabbing and stuff. And it's
That's
like
nuts.
really intensely modeled. But you can check it out because they're really small too.
Right.
And the latency is like almost nothing. And it's like a little extra module you could maybe add to your setup.
That's nuts.
But yeah, it's called Leap Motion. They're really cool.
Did BT do like a video with that? Because
I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure. Geez, you know what? I should have another computer like off screen that I can like look things up, and then I'll pretend I'm smarter than I actually am. My screen's being taken up by the screen capture. But yeah, next interview. I'll know everything.
Something to keep in mind.
Gotta up your game every time, you know. It's a learning experience.
Always improve.
For sure. Cool. Well, thank you so much for taking us through all this crazy stuff. Are there any? I mean, you know, I think we should definitely perhaps do another interview about like you know, your actual production techniques and stuff. But
Sure.
I really appreciate you taking us through all of these you know, all of these crazy techniques that you're using with the Launchpad and the routines and everything. People are obviously going to want to know more about you, and they're going to want to download some of these packs and stuff. Can you kind of like, if you were to give like you know, like just a single card version of just like, you know, what are the like 5, you know, 5 or less links that would just kind of like you know, that you would like to share? Like where you know, what tracks are you most proud of? What Launchpad sessions are you most proud of? Like, where should people start when they're diving into your work?
So first I'd ask you guys to, you know, check out my YouTube, because that's probably where, you know, everything is. And all of my social media except for SoundCloud is, you know, whatever it is, Facebook / YouTube / Twitter / Instagram, you know, everything /RIOT EDM. So Riot EDM.
With an exclamation mark.
Unfortunately, no. Well, my name has an exclamation mark, but the way URLs work, you can't have an exclamation mark.
Okay, so it's RIOT EDM. Got it.
Yeah, so that was kind of a fail SEO wise, but it works.
It works at Google. I typed it into Google and got your everything.
Yeah, no, exactly. When you Google me, it comes up, but I feel like some people might be confused, like, but his name has an exclamation mark. Why is his URL just an I? So
yeah.
Anyway, so everything is RIOT EDM except for SoundCloud, which is R-OT official, because some dude in like Brazil or something who doesn't make music. I know he doesn't even make music. So yeah, so those are everything. I'd say check out my video for Riot, R!OT. Check out my Only Mortal video. Check out. I'm currently editing my next video right now, which is for a song that I haven't released yet called Beat the Sunset. And like, that is my favorite, like, it's going to be my favorite.
The video looked really cool too.
Yeah, I showed it to Dylan like before we started recording. And it's basically, there's no Launchpad unfortunately, but the way it worked is, so the way that the session worked is, well, first let me explain the video. So basically I have the guitar and I have a backpack on, and I'm kind of just walking across this bridge, and I'm playing the song as I'm walking across the bridge. And we have different, you know, angles. I had the GoPro on my head. We had got the point of view from the guitar. My buddy was there with his really nice DSLR filming. And then Nev, thank you, Nev, sensei, let me borrow his quadcopter, the DJI Phantom, which was insanely awesome of him, because those things are like $1,000 and I really don't have that kind of money right now, but the kind of shots you can get are nuts. So
cool.
Anyways, so I'm walking across and I'm playing the song, and I can already see the YouTube comments now. Fake, fake, fake. You know, there's no way, there's not a power outlet. Well, the guitar is battery powered, and the reason I had the backpack, well, it's like, why the backpack on? The reason I had the backpack on is because my laptop was in there, and I had like a little t-shirt, you know, in between the screens to keep them from closing. Yeah. Exactly. And I was running Ableton in the backpack. Then we also had a speaker that just had an aux cable through, so that I can, you know, hear what's going on.
Cool.
So I like, after this video, I really want to just go to random places like, you know, Santa Monica Pier or like even the mall and just, you know, perform live while walking. And I think that'd be insanely cool because it was actually inspired. You've been to LA, right?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Have you been to Venice Beach?
Yeah.
Have you seen the dude? He's like a Sikh and he plays electric guitar on roller skates.
Yep.
Yeah,
love that guy. He's like there every day.
Famous. Yeah, he's like if you ever go to Venice Beach, you have to see that guy. He's a legend. So I was kind of inspired by him, and it was like, okay, he's playing guitar like with a little, you know, mobile amp. How can I do this with the guitar and play a whole song?
Cool.
And so that's when the whole, you know, how do I, you know, at first I was like, how do I, you know, make the laptop portable? And then I was talking to Nev about it, and he's like, why don't you just put it in your backpack? And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. And then I kind of, okay, well, obviously I just put something in the middle to keep it from closing, and then boom, your
cool
portable dubstep machine.
One of my friends is this guy Philistine, right? And he makes like crazy like world bass industrial music, but he's also very politically active, and he was looking for a way to bring like a mobile kind of creation station to, you know, various protests and stuff, and he had a shopping cart. And he had like mounted all of his drum controllers and stuff on shopping carts, and then he'd have like, you know, megaphone with weird kind of New World Order announcements coming out of the front, and just be like beating the shit out of the shopping cart all the time. It was pretty cool with all his MIDI controllers on there. That's another way to do it. It's pretty rad.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I met a guy who built a solar powered setup on a bike too, where it was like a little cart on the back of a bike, and he had like solar panels and stuff. It's another way to do it too. But yeah, nice. I love these like creative solutions to these kind of problems that people come up with. It's always so cool to see, like, you know, see people just like, you know, figuring it out, you know, taking it out of the studio and into the streets.
Right. Exact. That, because that's my thing. Is all these. It started with the Only Mortal video, which I filmed on this mountain next to the Hollywood sign. And then the Riot video, which was at this fountain across the street from the Walt Disney Concert Hall. And then this next video was at this really sick bridge in Orange County. And I kind of, I don't know, I wanted to be different than everybody else, because like all my friends that are doing this, it's like we're all doing kind of the same similar setup where it's, and the setup works. It looks so cool, where it's basically, you know, a top-down view of your controller, whether that's a MIDI fighter or a Launchpad, whatever it is, and then you just perform the whole song, and it's usually, you know, in the dark so that you can see the lights.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, we're all doing the exact same thing. How can I sort of set myself apart? And not that I like came up with this idea, but I feel like
it definitely makes the videos cooler. I mean,
exactly.
I watched them. I thought they were cool.
Thank you. Yeah. So that was the plan. So yeah, be sure to look out for Beat the Sun. It's also Beat the Sunset's like one of my favorite songs I've ever done. It's like one of those songs where I kind of was just like, I'm just gonna make something fun, and I hope that's what you guys think it is fun.
Cool. And the Launchpad project here that you've taken us through, Riot, I think that's probably the best one for people to start with. This is your favorite one, or are there other Launchpad projects that you'd recommend people check out?
Yeah, so if you're just going to play just Launchpad, then I would recommend doing Riot, although it is, I guess, somewhat challenging just because there's a lot of polyrhythms in between the individual hands, and a lot of people ask me, like, how do I deal with that? And I'd recommend just practicing one hand at a time and then slowly putting them together. It's just like you would play a piano, just like you would play any other instrument where that requires two hands at the same time. Do just the percussion, da 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 da, and then do just the right hand, da 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 da, and then slowly da 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 da. And if you can figure out like the way the polyrhythms work, like if you're playing two rhythms of the same, like two similar type rhythms, then it's really easy. But here's a trick. If you're doing, let's see, it's like 2 against 3. If you're doing 2 against 3, a good trick would be it's together, left, right, left, together.
Yeah, that rudiment, that's like, I find, like when I started doing that and just trying to work it between all my fingers, and I'd go like, you know, 2 against 3 with pinky and ring finger. Okay, and then switch which one goes first. Then two against 3, pinky and thumb, and then the 2 against 3 rudiment I think is just amazing. Are there any other rudiments that you'd recommend to anyone who's out there like practicing finger drumming?
Um, I don't know, cause like as a pianist, like, and I don't want to brag, but like a lot of these rhythms are like they just happen because I've been doing them for
Yeah, okay.
years. So that's just the one that came up most in the YouTube comments. Like, how do you do two different, like two against three, you know, at the same time? So, yeah, just if you're doing, you know, three in the left hand and two in the right hand, then it's together, left, right, left together. If you're doing three in the right hand and two in the left hand, then it's together, right, left, right together. So whichever
Cool.
one is has the more, you know, the more amount of notes, then it's together, whatever hand that is, the other hand, then the other hand, and then together again.
Cool. That really helps me. I actually only started finger drumming in 2014, or well, 2013 was the year that I vowed to learn, and then by 2014 I was like doing it on stage. But I'm still like, you know, there's a lot of things like, you know, I mean, I definitely, my programming abilities are there, but like in terms of actually like, you know, practicing and knowing what to practice and stuff, I'm still like a babe in the woods over here, you know.
Right. Well,
But
your programming skills are a lot better than mine. I didn't even know the choke thing. So
well, you know, you got, that's why you got to have these conversations, you know,
exactly.
and then everybody learns. Cool. So speaking of learning, if you had a time machine and you could tell your past self anything that would just make your life easier as a musician, what would you tell your past self?
Like tricks wise, or something I should do.
I don't know, just like you just, you know, this magic portal appears and you're like, do you have the ability to give information to your past self? What information would you like to share with your past self?
I definitely tell myself to stop playing MapleStory and start working harder. And then I'd also teach myself like how to, not that I master properly, but I'm like way better at mastering now than I was like even a couple months ago. So I just like, I'd take my current mastering knowledge and give that to my 2010 self.
Okay, cool. And then less video games and more practicing and
Exactly.
producing.
I love video games, but I haven't played video games in like years just because time, you know, it's
Yep.
like you,
Me too, man. So you gotta make sacrifices. That's the thing, you know. It's like,
exactly.
and I
Do you
mean,
want it enough? You know, you gotta decide.
yeah, yeah. It's a thing too. It's like people think that you're just born, you know, knowing how to produce, you know. And so many people, they're like, oh, you know, I want to be a producer, but it's like, do you want it enough to pay the price? You know, like, do you want it more than sleeping in? Do you want it more than doing drugs with your friends all weekend? Do you want it more than whatever, you know? And it's really, you know, for you, video games was the price. You know, I had to make that decision too. I used to love playing video games, but
Yeah.
nope.
Dude, that's why I love talking to like other producers because you know they get it. You get the lifestyle, and it's not just producers though. Like it's anything in life that is worth being good at takes a ton of effort. And like
Yeah.
like I'll bring like piano as another example because I teach piano, and I can't tell you like the amount of students. Like I have some great students, don't get me wrong, but there are just some people that don't really want it, and they like for example, I had this one student from China who was they literally, and this is the worst reason to learn how to do anything. They just wanted to impress their friends. So, which yeah,
That's terrible.
Like, it is terrible.
If
So
there's anything that's sure to not impress people, it's trying to impress them, I find.
exactly. So I had my first lesson with her, and she was like, "Okay, so I want to learn how to play the third movement of Moonlight Sonata," which, like, and she had 4 months to learn how to play piano, and if you know the fourth movement, the third movement of Moonlight Sonata, it's like maybe in 10 years, like I can teach you how to play that. You know?
Oh wow, so it's just like bananas.
It's nuts. Like
I only got as far as Fur Elise, and then I was like,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna start DJing instead.
Yeah. So the well, finger drumming is not everybody can finger drum either. Well, I mean, anybody can do anything. You just have to put the time
Yeah, you just have to put the time in and make
exactly.
it a priority in your life.
Yeah, but this woman, she just like she didn't really want it because one, that's unrealistic. Two, I would like, okay, you really want to like let's try it. I knew it wasn't gonna work, but let's try it because that she had her mindset and she just wouldn't even practice. It's like, so you want to do something that's impossible and you're not even willing to at least attempt to do it. You know.
So what is so speaking of like practicing and honing your skills and stuff, take us through like a day in your life. Like, is there anything that you do, like how much are you practicing, when in the day are you like what's your routine like? Are there any tricks that you use to get into like the right kind of mental state to make music?
Sure. So I usually like I said, right now I'm in school, so time is kind of like really hectic. Today's one of my days off, thank God. But once I graduate, I'm gonna have plenty of time. But what I usually do on like summer break or spring break is, you know, I produce and I compose every single day, and then I try and practice piano a couple times a week. And then what I'll usually do, because like I don't need to like, because the piano is enough like of a finger exercise. I don't like have to practice the Launchpad just so I don't like lose my chops per se.
Yeah.
But I just practice it so I don't forget where everything is, because I'm sure that's kind of a really annoying when it's
a lot of memory,
Exactly. So like I was scared of playing like this song even today because I haven't played it in a couple weeks. So like crap, am I going to remember like where everything is? And it's fine because I did, but you know, it's just sometimes you forget and you have to relearn your own song, which sucks because it's not like a piano piece where if I wrote a piano piece, I can open up, you know, my PDF file, which has the score that I made in Finale. You know, what I had to do, like this song in particular, I didn't play it for like 3 months one time, and I just like I had this song ready like for a long time before I put out the video. I just was trying to find like a good location to do it at, but like before I had to shoot it, I completely forgot the song.
Oh no.
I know. And I had shot the tutorial for it before I had shot the actual video.
So did you watch your own tutorial?
I rewatched the tutorial.
That's amazing.
And then I was like, okay, well, if I can relearn it, then you know you guys can learn it too.
That's awesome. You know, I think that just underscores really sharing as data backup.
Right.
You know, I think that's so important. And at one point in my life, I was actually, 2006, I came back from my first Burning Man, and my building must have got hit by lightning or something, because all 3 of my computers were completely fried, like to the point of just being like hard drives toast, motherboards toast. I couldn't get a single component of any of my computers to come back online again, ever. And I lost like my album and all this stuff, all my meticulously collected samples from movies. And it was only the samples that I'd shared with my friends that I was able to return because I was generous enough to share these folders with my friends. And, you know, I really made this decision that I was like, man, I gotta share, you know, not just from altruistic purposes, but for selfish purposes as well.
Right. Right. Well, damn, that sucks. But yeah, I'm like super, OCD about like backing stuff up. Like I have 2 external hard drives, and God forbid somebody should break into my house and steal them.
Yep.
That's why like off-site like backup is
huge,
the way to go. The way to go. Like if you really have stuff, like especially if you're a producer and your stuff gets stolen or your house burns down, and you don't have a backup, you're starting from knowledge-wise, you're great, but all the samples you've collected, all the presets that you've made from scratch, all your project files, everything is gone. So you like offsite, whether it's Dropbox or whether, you know, you ask your buddy, hey, like, let me, you know, keep this hard drive at your house. Like, do it, because you will
definitely.
You will thank me later.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully you won't thank me later, but you might thank me later.
Cool. Okay. Well, this is all very, very good advice and good stories. Do you have any parting words before I go upstairs and make dinner?
Enjoy dinner. I don't know. Let's see what.
Anything you want to plug? Any like, you know, quotes? Anyone you want to give props to? Any inspirations you want to share? Just anything at all. For sure.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and not that I'm plugging the Red Hot Chili Peppers, not that the Red Hot Chili Peppers need to be plugged, but I saw them live one time, and Flea, the bass player, for everybody who doesn't know the Chili Peppers, said something that kind of struck with me, and he said, support live music. And at first I kind of thought he was like dissing electronic music, but I kind of later realized he was just saying support anyone who is doing, and this could just be my interpretation, but just support anyone that's doing anything that is real. You know what I mean? So I'm not against turntablism. I actually love turntablism. What I'm against is like people that just, I call them like push players.
Yep.
You know, your whole set is recorded. You just do this. You know, turntablism is awesome. Support real turntablists. You know, support controllers like me and Dylan or ill.Gates. Sorry.
Dylan's fine. No one ever calls me ill.Gates. That'd be kind of weird. It's just not that kind of a name.
Okay. Well, for people who are like, who's Dylan?
Yeah.
It's like totally. support Michael. Who's Michael? Support Riot. support ill.Gates, support Sean Wasabi, support Nev, M4 Sonic, Throttle, Zambusetta, Metronome, Jack Conti, Madion, everybody that's doing what we're doing, because it's real and it's, see us live and you'll see why.
We're taking risks. We're taking risks. Like, we can easily fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can easily fuck up. I'd like to give shouts out to my man KJ Saka too.
Oh yeah, I've never met him.
Drummer from Pendulum and Destroyed. We're actually doing a tour together where we're gonna battle. We're doing like a MIDI video battle tour. So, yeah, I would add him to the list of live electronics musicians. And then also Ioto. I'm currently actually on tour with them. I'm just at home for a couple days. But man, they do all improvised, all live electronics with just this like sea of equipment. I can't even imagine setting it up every night. Like, each one of them has like, like these stations where there's like 20 different controllers and synths and a drum kit and, mics and pitch shifting and sampling and just all this stuff. And just watching that signal flow through that rig is just wild, Tim Exile, I would add Tim Exile to the list of
Tack,
live.
who I forgot to
Yes,
mention.
Tack also. Yeah. Tack also. But yeah, I think it's really cool to see, things going in this direction. And, that whole push players argument, I think that's like really most people's beef with electronic music, and, just seeing so many people, using this live electronic music thing as a jump off point is amazing, and just like the amount of plays that some of these YouTube videos are getting, I think really shows shows the potential of this form of electronic music. And I'm just like, I'm really excited to see, see how far we can take it and to see, it's really in its infancy. I mean, half the people on that list that you just mentioned are like under 25. I think almost all of them are under 25.
Right.
It's just like, it's pretty wild, man.
Except for I think Jack Conti. I don't know how old he is, but from Pamplemousse. But either way, yeah, no, what you're doing is, I guess, cutting edge when you Google it and like there are no, like, you Google controllerism and there's like nothing.
Yeah. It's pretty well. I think we don't have the right term though. I think like controllerism and finger drumming are just like, they just don't sound cool, Like I've been using that word too much. I just had this conversation with Nev. He wants to call it something else, but what he wanted, I don't remember what he wanted to call it, but I didn't like that. But yeah, I feel like we gotta figure out something that's cool. I call it like hands-on sometimes, or like, live electronics, but it's just, I don't know, it's just, electronic music has always been plagued with this problem of really ambiguous terminology, or terminology that when it is specific doesn't sound cool. So if any of you are out there and you have any genius ideas, don't hesitate to share, because if we get the right term, man, I think it'd probably be pretty easy to get everyone on board. I mean, we all know each other. It's a pretty small community, of this whole live electronics world. So yeah, if any of you are creative and witty out there, post a comment or send us an email or whatever, and we'd love to hear from you.
Well, it's actually up to all the people watching and just the community in general, because what Nev was saying is we can come up with the coolest name, but the name we give it isn't going to matter. Everybody, we are not going to be able to determine the name. Everybody else is going to determine the name. So we're kind of like, the first DJ didn't come up with, the term DJ and the term turntablism, excuse me. That was just like the masses, it somehow got into vocabulary.
Just what got caught on. I'm just glad that like, the days of like music magazines naming genres have kind of gone. Right. Because man, some of those genre names, I'm just like, oh my God, guys.
Post
really?
EDM.
Or like, IDM has got to be the worst. Like no IDM musician would ever want to call the genre IDM. It's just terrible.
My favorite was Porter Robinson was on the cover of like Billboard or I don't know. He was on it was some like music like magazine or blog or something, and they called Porter Robinson's music post EDM. And then I was just like, what? Like, what EDM's over? It's EDM's done? Like EDM died? Like it's post EDM?
Well, his music is still electronic, and I'm pretty sure as much as he bitches about EDM, you're still probably supposed to dance a bit at his shows.
Right.
So in my opinion, that makes it electronic dance music. Like if it's electronic and you're not supposed to stand still,
Right. Exactly.
or sit down, that would make it EDM. I find it's really funny that people get so angry about this term.
I know. It's like it's electronic music, and you're supposed to dance to it. There's functional music, and there's non-functional music.
Yeah.
And EDM is functional music, and the function is you're supposed to dance. It's dance music.
I have no problem with it as a term.
Me neither. That's why.
Well, it's in your URL.
That's what I was about to say. It's in my URL.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, I think, any more recording and my computer is going to barf and eat the file or something. So
Sure.
I think we should probably call it here. But, man, I'd love to do another interview, have you back on the show. We can start talking about, more production-based stuff. But I just really got to say thank you so much for taking the time. It's been really awesome to hang out and catch up. My mind has expanded. And,
mine too.
Yeah, it's been great. So thanks a lot. And, I hope to hear from you soon. And if you if you ever need a guest room in San Francisco, I got you.
I might take you up on that.
Do it. Do it.
I'll do it, dude. Thank you for having me. Like it has been a lot of fun. And I learned a ton. It's been awesome talking to you. And I hope everybody else who's watching, just learned a lot, or at least got to know me and Dylan a little bit better. And yeah.
Cool. All right. Lots of love, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Right.
Peace.
Peace.